Hey everyone, thanks for joining us live. We are here with Thomas Ballard. He is a hydrogeologist. Thomas, did I ever tell you that it sounds like water comes from rocks when you say hydrogeologist? But
Well, it does.
good to know. Okay, so today we're here with Thomas, and he's going to talk
Groundwater,
to
anyway.
us. I learn new things from you all the time, Thomas. We're going to be talking with Thomas, or he's going to be training us on small business collaborations. He's done a lot of things where he's worked with small businesses concerning video of all things. And I like that about you, Thomas. So without further ado, here we have Thomas Ballard.
Well, thank you very much. Just by way of introduction for folks that don't know me, I'm a consultant, a hydrogeologist. So I'm these days, I'm a one-man show. I used to have a business where I had employees and all that, and just kind of as I'm winding down my career here, I'm 69, so I've decided to kind of get out of the business of managing employees and go off on my own and just be a one-man show. But and I got a lot of experience as a hydrogeologist, and so that benefits me well. I'm also an advocate for small rural businesses. I live in a rural community in Middle Tennessee, and notice that some businesses, the demise of small town America is kind of been well documented out there, and it is true in a way, but there's things we can do to really um, stop that decline and really, uh, you know, if you're a real retail business, for instance, you're a small retail business in a town that's in a rural county, then you're challenged by places like Walmart and things like that because that's who you're competing against, and people have basically gotten into the Walmart habit, for instance, and or the Amazon habit, and so what how can we compete against those? And there's a number of ways to do that, but one of the things I wanted to talk about is basically taking small businesses and collaborating together. So, and this works with some variation on whether you are a retail type business, a clothing retailer or selling products, or even a grocery store in a small town, or you are a service business like myself, which is as a consultant. So I'll, start off talking a little bit about the consulting side of things. Then we can kind of get into if you're a retail business. And I think most of the people that pop in here are probably more service business oriented, so it'll resonate more with the people here. But for folks that are watching this video that may have a retail type business, that we'll offer some tips up there too. But I call it the collaborative business model, and it's not really a model per se, but it's really just kind of a string of ideas and concepts that is taking things that we probably already do or think about, but kind of systematizing them a little bit. And I'm big on the systematic approach to things. And so that's really what we're going to talk about here. And so collaboration is important. And that's by way of introduction to what we're going to do today. So, let's see who we got online here. Um, got L, and we got who else? Who else do we have, Erica?
Matthew.
Oh, Matthew. Okay. All right. So So I guess I'd like to hear from folks that are on, how they define their business, and we can dive into the conversation a little bit. So I know Elle isn't shy. So do you define your business as a service business, Elle, or do you are you do you also sell products? I know you're mainly service, but Maybe she's
We
not
are,
listening.
we are,
Yeah.
I'm listening. We are mainly service. Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
We are mainly service. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too many things, but definitely we are mainly service. We do a lot of consulting. We don't sell any products at all. I
Okay.
when I
Yeah.
first started, everyone's like, "Oh, you need to have products, products, products," but I just really wasn't interested in I feel like products can be a problem as far as like storage and if it goes bad and blah blah blah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, unless we sell digital products, and that's another whole other thing. I mean, so we can talk about a little bit about that too. So, all right. And how about you, Matthew?
Hey Tom, it's very great to be here. I'd say my business is more of a consultancy rather than an
Okay.
actual solid product. So it's mostly service offering rather than having like a fixed physical product. So
Okay.
that's a space that I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that most of us on this show are service businesses, but like I say, I deal with some of the local and rural is especially challenging, like I mentioned, because you get a Walmart introduced into a small rural area, and people are just in that mode. They go to Walmart because they expect cheap prices and all that stuff, and which may not be the best choice, but they're kind of in that habit, I think is really what it comes down to. So, but let's start off. We can talk about service businesses and go from there. And so I found that the traditional method with a consultancy or anything like that is to hire some employees and you go out and hire some employees, and then you as an owner are basically stuck with doing all the bookwork and the accounting and trying to deal with payrolls and stuff like that. And quite frankly, I've done that in the past, and I had a consultant business that had, we got up to, I don't know, 6 or 7 employees at one point, and which is about all I could handle. And I found I spent all my time doing things like the payroll is an incredible pain. I mean, it just doing payroll is just, even if you hire a company to do it for you, is just uh, just it drives you crazy because there's so many laws and things you got to adhere to and just this and that, and it just takes up huge amounts of time. And even though I loved my employees, it was just a matter of dealing with personnel issues, and it's just kind of like, holy cow. So I spent all my time just managing people and not doing the stuff that I really like as a consultant. And so all my experience then ends up being wasted because I'm working basically managing the business and not doing what I really like. And some people, we go back to some of these classic books on business, like The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. He'll tell you that's what you need to do. Work on your business and not in it. But the thing is a lot of us did not get into business to basically do payroll. I didn't. So that's so it's a little bit of a quandary. If you want to build a successful business and build it up where you got hundreds of employees and worth many multiple millions of dollars, then yeah, you have to commit yourself to doing that. But if you're a small business like all those of us here, then really what you're looking at is you really want to do what you love to do and what you went into business for. That's really important because you don't want to spend all your time dealing with personnel issues and doing this and that. Now, I think a lot of us here also, if we're in business for ourselves, like the marketing angle, and we do that too. and that's kind of fun for a lot of people. I know it is for me. I enjoy the marketing side of things, but dealing with personnel is a challenge. So we end up being solopreneurs or having small businesses. And does anybody here have personnel, that staff that they pay, paid employees?
I'm getting one. I'm in a process, unfortunately. I didn't want to, but the rules of how, since we opened our office, we have to have somebody kind of run the front desk. So we have one.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of sometimes you got to, if you have a certain type of business, but I think most of us would prefer to do what we like and not. So one way to extend your capabilities is through collaboration with other businesses, and that's really what we're going to talk about today. And I can tell you a little bit about how I do it. Kind of like to see what everybody else does as well. But um, I compete in my end of business and what I've done in the past. I'll sometimes my competition is these nationwide consulting firms. Now, I used to be in the environmental business doing cleanups and those types of things, and you're competing against these huge multinational consulting firms, and they can come in and they got a lot of capabilities in house, and so how do you compete with that? Well, as it turns out, cutting right to the chase here, is that a lot of these big consulting firms, they'll take, who my typical client would be, and I go for the smaller guys, not these. I don't have the capabilities to go after, really huge contracts. I don't want to, the things you got to bid on, and I just, that doesn't interest me. But some of these smaller clients, you're competing against, and I can't see what the comment is here. Oh, okay. Just a quick good morning. Huh. All right, good morning. So getting back on the train of thought here is, yeah, as it turns out, for instance, just in this example, is that a lot of these big multinational companies, they got this reputation, and it sounds impressive, but when it comes to actually doing the work, we look at the fact that they're bringing in, a lot of times you have a principal in charge who maybe puts in an hour or two on the project, and most of the work is done by people that are fresh out of college, don't have the experience and the work experience, the life experience necessary to really do things. So there ends up being mistakes made. But the from the point of view of the large consulting firm, they're putting these people on there because it all comes down to multiples of their hourly rate. So if you have somebody that's fresh out of college comes in, you're going to be able to bill them at 4 to 5 times their hourly rate, and so you get a pretty good markup. If you got a principal in charge, they're going to bill maybe 2 times their hourly rate, and so you get the billing rate is maybe 2 times what you're paying this person. So you're getting a lot more profit from these young people coming right out of college, right? So it's because you got a lot of company overhead to take care of, and that's really what it comes down to. So there's more profit margin of throwing these inexperienced people on the project, but which works great for that big consulting firm, but is it really what the client needs? The client basically signed up for this firm because they're looking at the experience of the principals, which is kind of what they market. Yet they're getting some fresh out of college student, a recent student who is now in the business doing the work on their project. So, we saw this and say, that's really a kind of a weakness of these firms. So we can take and I maybe not be able to do all the work myself and have that full range of experience, but I know people or, solopreneurs or small consulting firms that do. And if I don't have capabilities or really don't feel comfortable doing the work in a certain area, I can go out and I can team with these small people or these other small consultants, and we can produce a work team that is going to have aggregate more experience than what these big national consulting firms are putting on the job. So that's really, the gist of the model, and we've employed that pretty successfully because we can take a project team. They can cover the range of services they need, and you can put together a project team that may, on average, have 20 to 30 years experience, as opposed to this big consulting firm you're competing with that has, yeah, maybe you got a principal in charge that has 30 years experience, but the rest of the project team has somewhere between 2 and 5 or 0 and 5 years experience. So we have the capability to produce a team, and because we're smaller and our overhead is smaller, we can, I'm pretty happy with a rate that is probably what they're charging for these fresh out of college students, and that's pretty good to me. And for them to even make twice the principal's hourly rate or do it 2 times on that, they're going to have to charge a really high rate for that person. So I can be competitive in 2 areas. One, the rate, because you're getting a lot of experience for basically the same rate as you're paying for somebody fresh out of college. And so that's generally, we've found that works fairly well. Now, it does come back down to marketing, where you have to, where you really have to, basically let people know what they're getting, and that's going to be important, because you have to tell them what your advantage is. So that's where the elevator pitch or your marketing campaign really comes in, and you need to say that succinctly to them so that they do understand that what they're getting. And a lot of times that really sells people, because you're getting to talk to the person that has the experience, as opposed to some college student. And so in my particular business, that is often what works for me. Now, and so I just like to, with that introduction to the process for the service side of the business, maybe get some feedback from the folks on the call here, what you might be doing too. And then we can dive into a little bit about pricing and that type of thing too. So let me just open it up if there's any questions or comments or discussions, because I know you all aren't shy
I
about
have a
jumping into
question
the
for you,
conversation.
Thomas.
Sure.
Is every job a rate? Can you do value-based pricing at all? Can you have a standard pricing for what you do?
Yes, and that kind of gets into the pricing situation. So we can either do an hourly rate, a not to exceed rate based on hourly cost plus expenses, or what I've done lately, and just because I'm lazy with invoicing, no, I'm just kidding about that, but it makes it a lot easier, is I'll charge a fixed fee, because I have the experience that I know how many hours it's going to take me to do a project. So I can make things a lot more predictable for the client by offering them a fixed fee type of work. And then it's basically, you don't get into this not to exceed and these hourly rate billings and all that stuff. This is the price up front, and you know what it is. It's all predictable, and that really helps too. Some people call it unit cost pricing. You'll have a price for doing certain things, but those are all fixed fee for the task, as opposed to an hourly billing rate, which can be open-ended depending on how you define your contract, and sometimes it gets down into contracts. And I'll tell you what, these days I don't even do the lengthy contracts. I have a task order that has all the language built into it. It's basically a two-page front, a front and back page that's got the terms and basically defines the scope of work and the price right there. If they want, I can attach a rate sheet to it, but but it's all right there. So that's a really good question because that is attractive to people when they can predict what their costs are as opposed to something that's open-ended. So, and that's where the experience comes in. I like to say every one of these gray hairs is some kind of experience. Some are good, some are bad, but every one of these gray hairs counts for something. So that's how you get those. But that experience allows you to know exactly how much time it's going to take to do things. And sometimes, there's a little bit of variability and maybe I don't make quite as much money on it. And sometimes I make a little more, but generally, pretty much once you've done it a few times, you pretty much know how many hours it's going to take you. And then you can basically do that fixed cost. And I think most people and most of my clients appreciate that pricing model when it's a fixed cost as opposed to an open-ended hourly rate um, or even a lot of times it's done where it's a not to exceed amount, but still people can predict the price. They know they're going to write a check for this amount and they can agree to that up front and then you don't need to worry about all that. And quite frankly, I've done the invoicing where you're detailing all your hours and doing descriptions and in a lot of the businesses I've been in, it gets quite involved where you have to, the date, the hours and the rate and you got variable rates depending on what you're doing and then you have to put in a description and then expenses, what's my expense plus a markup. It gets quite challenging. If I can send out a bill for one fixed amount that's agreed on ahead of time, that saves time for me and it makes it more predictable for the client. So it's a win-win situation. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. Thank you, sir.
All right. I'm assuming so. So any other examples or questions before we go on to some of that stuff?
When you talk about your experience, are you also saying that your experience helps you get collaborations with other small businesses?
Yes. So for instance, I'm located in Middle Tennessee, but I do work in different parts of the country, particularly California. And it's I find it since COVID, it's really been a pain to travel on airplanes. And it's expensive, the price has gone up. So I find that I can do the work in California and I can kind of and hey, at 69 going on 70, I'm not able to get out in the field as much and spend all day hiking up and down hills like I used to. So it's just, but it's more, the travel, getting out there and the time to do that. And um, so I look for people and I have some people out in various parts of California that have, in the range of 20 to 30 years experience. And we form these business collaborations and we team up on different things. So I can call them up and say, hey, I got a project down in San Diego, for instance, and I'd have to fly out there on Southwest into San Diego, rent a car, hotels, and all that type of thing. And that really eats into your costs. You got to recoup those costs, and sometimes you can do it where you can visit several projects at the same time, and kind of spread those costs around. Or I can say, okay, I'll do a lot of the office work and then I will send somebody down that's in Southern California that I've worked with. And he can go out and he can do the actual on the ground stuff, and then I can do the office stuff, and we team up. He's got, and part of it is, knowing who the person is, building that trust up so that you have somebody that can be your eyes and ears and you trust what they say. And sometimes that's a learning experience too. You can try them out in some different projects and see how it works out. And sometimes just the communication. You have to, if you're doing this type of thing and it's remote collaboration, then basically having a good communication method where you are confident you're getting the information you need. And in my business as a hydrogeologist, I have to sign and stamp reports, which means I'm taking legal liability for what goes into that report. So it's really important to me to have somebody I can trust, because if I sign and stamp this report as a hydrogeologist, then I'm guaranteeing with my multi-million dollar insurance policy that I have to maintain that it is that it's true, it's factual, and the interpretations that I'm doing are based on solid data. So you have to build up that trusting relationship with people. So there's a little bit of a vetting process you go through. And so, don't just dive in willy-nilly and trust people. And I've learned in the past, I've gotten burned by some people that I thought were pretty good, that had the experience, that looked good on paper, and they didn't deliver. And so, I've gotten burned. And so, trust but verify, I guess, is is how that particular saying goes. And that really is true. So that's basically how I do it. Now, pricing wise, I have my normal schedule. And if you're billing on an hourly rate, for instance, then what I'll do is I'll talk to these people and we'll come up with our fixed fee based on what they think they can do. And they got the experience too. They know the game on doing the fixed fee stuff. So they will take their work and they will give me some kind of discount so that we can align our rates. So our rates are the same. And usually, in this business, people are going to be pretty darn close. But then I can make a little bit of profit on them and still charge my normally rates. So they're going to give me a discount because I'm going out and I'm finding the work, and so then we're working together. So that discount basically is going to be 15 to 20% on their normal rate. And then I can, build that in. I can charge my normal rate, and then I'm going to make, 15 to 20% on their time as part of that. Now, as the other wrinkle is that I'll do similar things for them. I may have some capabilities that they don't have. So as part of the collaboration process, it goes the other way too, is that they'll go out and they'll have some of their own projects and they pull me in on something, and I'll go back with the same kind of discount structure so they can make some money on my time. And thus is the basis of a business collaboration. Now, in your particular business, that 15 to 20% discount may be different, and that works, but that's just kind of what works for me in my particular business. So that's kind of the pricing structure and how you make some money on these people, and most people are willing to work with you on that. Sometimes people look for a little bit, a little bit more, so we may shrink that down to 10% in some cases, or if we're being pressured on the price, we may have to kind of discount things back. That's all part of your, pricing strategy. And that's kind of a normal thing, but you got to work with the people, and they need to understand going into it is that you're going to discount things, and that makes me whole because I don't have to charge some kind of markup on their time, which inflates the price the client, it becomes seamless as if I was doing it myself because we're applying all the same rates. The other thing is you need to agree to and this may be a way to manage things as a solopreneur is a pay when paid type of arrangement. So I basically say, okay, I will bill the client either monthly or upon job completion if it's a short job, and then this person agrees to get paid. When I get paid, I'll turn around and cut them a check once I get paid. You don't have to do it that way. Some people, if you got a big enough bank account and your cash flow is fine, then you can pay them right away, and that's usually very much appreciated. But if you're a smaller business that is trying to basically, bootstrap things, then making sure that everybody understands is a pay when paid situation is important. And you don't want to go into it and deceive people. They need to understand upfront that they're going to get paid when you get paid, and that's important. And then it's incumbent upon me to get my billing out quickly as soon as possible. So that's a situation there. So any questions on that? Erica?
I did assume that a collaboration meant we work with each other for free. I thought a partnership meant that we work with each other and like share resources. And I thought exchanging money was just working. But I've learned something new once again. So thank you.
Well, as a business, we all need to make money. So it's how do you, but how does everybody win? Because if I got a relationship with this one hydrogeologist I work with a lot in California, then he needs to make some money too. So he's not going to work for free. Um, and that becomes the basis of your relationship because they're making some money. They're giving you a discount rate in exchange for you going out and getting this client and stuff and vice versa. So we all need to make money to stay in business, and that's how you do it. So now, in your particular situation, you say, okay, I will volunteer to help you out, or if we're going to go out and get some work cooperatively, then you're going to agree to share your marketing. That's a little bit different animal than doing the actual work itself. But once you land it, then there needs to be basically financial remuneration for the folks that are involved. So that's important because we all need we all need money to stay in business. If we're not making money, then we're not going to be in business for long, and we might as well just go out and donate our time. So and so I like to say it puts beanie weenies on the table. It doesn't have to be much, but but I do like to eat. So does my family. So that's really, yeah. So we're talking about collaborations that are for-profit collaborations. Um, if you are doing business development, that's a little bit different animal because we're going out and developing business together. So you can still collaborate on that with the understanding that if any business develops out of this collaborative marketing relationship, then you're going to then work together on it. And so you need to kind of have your pricing structure, how you're going to work out that arrangement of, somebody's going to have to take the lead on these collaborative business arrangements. Somebody's going to have to do the billing. The money's going to have to flow through somebody. They're going to have to distribute it out. So you need to have those relationships defined before you actually go into the marketing thing. So you're talking a little bit about, instead of an individual project, you're talking about a whole marketing program, I think, and that's good because I do that with some folks too. And so thanks for bringing up that question, is that we have an understanding up front that whatever business comes from this person is in the lead. And so if I'm working with somebody else and it's their idea, they're going to take the lead on it, and I'm going to contribute to the marketing effort, then I understand that I'm going to offer a discount back to them on my time and services, and that they're going to be in the lead, and they'll do all the billing. For whatever work we get, they're going to be the person that's going to be the lead, and I'm going to be the collaboration partner. If I do it otherwise, and we have a number of these where like I say, some people, I got this business partner, and sometimes they may be the lead person, sometimes I may be the lead person. So we have, this arrangement that if they're the lead, then I'm discounting things. If I'm the lead, then they're discounting things to me. And it all works out in the wash actually fairly well. But business development is a huge deal. And it varies from industry to industry, but if you're putting together a program to go out and market, then the understanding is that that's going to be the basis of a business relationship, whatever work comes in. So you better define it ahead of time, who's actually going to be the lead person. I found, quite frankly, that having one person in the lead is probably the best way to do it than try to have equal voices. Now you can, you can all get in and you can market together and talk to potential clients together and all that. But ultimately, there needs to be one person that's in charge of those things, especially for small businesses, that basically things are going to flow through. And so it's important to have that particular aspect defined, because otherwise, if you don't define things up front, even if you have a great business relationship with that person, things can go south. And this is what happens a lot on partnerships. They often say that partnerships are the worst form of business, because you have an illegal legal arrangement with somebody, and over time, and all your business dealings are defined through this legal partnership agreement. And over time, you may find you don't like your business partners, and then you got to unwind that whole thing, that whole legal agreement. So I'm not a fan of partnerships. I've just been burned on them. But business collaborations, you're collaborating on a project specific basis, or maybe a program specific basis, where you put together a marketing plan to go after a particular segment, and you're defining the terms of that and what specifically you're doing, so everybody understands up front, what's going on. And having that definition or defining things up front really allows you to sidestep a lot of the problems you get in partnerships of people not knowing what's going on. You can say, okay, this didn't work out. We're not going to work together anymore, or things like that. So that that's kind of the difference between, say, a partnership and a business collaboration, because a business collaboration might be, I guess you'd call it ad hoc type of thing, whereas a partnership is more of a formal business arrangement that's put down on paper, and the lawyers draft the agreement and all that type of thing. So that's hopefully that answers your questions on that. So
Yes, sir, it did. Thank you.
I love collaborations because you don't have to, everybody is an expert at their part of the job.
right.
Right. And you don't have to do any training. You have your agreements on how you're going to work together. And you can always pick, my work ethic is I get a lot of stuff done in a short period of time. If you tell me this is the project, this we're going to do, I'm pretty much going to have my part done as soon as I possibly can, so that you can do whatever else you need to do with it
and I can move on to the next project. I really enjoy I've been working like this collaboratively for probably a good 12 years. Because of course, when I first started business, I had a bunch of employees and I had all this different stuff going on, and it was a nightmare. I hated it so bad. I hate HR stuff. I hate the whole um just because you get on a rack or on a wheel and you're just doing the same things over and over and over. It to me it stifles your creativity, and it doesn't allow you to pivot when it's necessary. So I super love it because you can, and then you also have multiple people who can do the same thing, right? So you have an opportunity to say, okay, so I'm working, you have two projects going on. You can have like simultaneously two whole different groups working on the same project, on two different projects. And it's not extra work necessarily for you. So I love it.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a very good point because you're on the hamster wheel, and you're doing stuff you don't want to do. I mean, I I really appreciate people that do HR work because I don't want to do it. I find it boring and just kind of, but there's people out there that thrive at that type of thing, and hey, more power to them. But I decided that after, building this company and hiring employees, and we eventually sold out to another company, that I just didn't want to do employees anymore because I'm not doing what I want to do. And I think I'm hearing the same thing from you, El, that you were doing stuff that you didn't want to do and you prefer not to be doing. And so yeah, that's really, where a collaboration comes in, is you're avoiding that whole traditional structure. And I think, also, we really haven't talked about the gig economy, which is, kind of almost started with Uber, is probably one of the best examples of the gig economy. But, people are more willing. When I first started in this business and I proposed to people, we freelance some things and you work from home, and we don't have a real, much of big office structure. People are kind of like, what? But now people are used to working in the gig economy where you're working on a particular gig, and then you move on to your next one. So the business environment has become a lot more permissive, and people understand the collaboration aspect. And, quite frankly, we're getting some of the old gray-haired guys like me out there that are solopreneurs and have a lot of experience. You team up together, and boy, you can be a powerful force because you know things. You have the experience you can offer people that some of your competition just can't. So, and really, a lot of times the problem can be, if you have that reputation and word gets out there, then and obviously you want the word of mouth, but you can be as busy as you want to be, and that's really what it comes down to. And I know, Al, your business is growing that same way because the word gets out there and that word of mouth. And then, so you need to collaborate with some folks to, keep your business going, or just to take care of the clients that are coming in the door. So.
Yes. Yes. It just makes sense, I kept trying to figure out how could we have the front desk be uh not an employee. Because the thing is I hate being an employee, right? So I didn't want to create employees. So but I mean, I guess technically Melanie doesn't really count as an employee. I'm trying to figure that out with the HR people, but because she has to do the job a certain way, and I've like white gloved the crap out of our office, so it's like you have to, when somebody comes in, you have to say this. And when you have to do, so that becomes an actual job. So Melanie probably won't be doing it forever, but that's going to definitely be, because that person is critical, right, to create the environment when people first walk in.
Right. And I'm not saying that as a small business, we never have employees, but we're in a situation now where we can minimize the employees
Mhm.
and you don't have to have this traditional legacy business structure anymore is that you can free form it a lot more and um, but the important thing, and I want to get back to that, is defining that business relationship and what everybody's expectations are, so you have satisfactory outcomes. You want to define that up front and talk with people about how you're going to do this business arrangement. And some people may need a little bit more of that than others, but I think that's important that you don't have things undefined that you're going to do and people know what their expectations are, because that is the basis of trust, and trust is the basis of a great business relationship, because you can trust that person to deliver on what they say, and that works both ways. It works with your business collaboration partners, and it works with your clients. I mean, from the client side, we want to be their trusted advisor. But a business partner, they want to know that they can work with us and they trust us to deliver on what we said we're going to do, and we don't get greedy and try to take more out of the business relationship than what we'd said we were going to do up front. That is not the basis for a good collaboration. So make sure the terms are fair for everybody, but they know what they are up front, and then stick to them. Or if you decide to kind of, rejigger the arrangement, that everybody's on board with that and agrees that needs to be done, because I've seen too many things go south where somebody got greedy, and that, greed is not the basis of a good business in any circumstance, but certainly a business relationship with other people. And so it's real important to be fair and give back. So that's, so we may have some employees, but I think we're getting to the point in the way things work with the internet and the way things change, and even AI enters into the equation, is we can minimize the number of employees we have. But in your particular situation, having somebody at the front desk, you got to do that. I mean, you can't take your time to do that because you're focused on other things. So you can do that, and in your particular situation, probably a VA isn't going to work. So you got to have a physical person there who's probably going to be an employee. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for pointing that out. Anybody else have any examples of how you collaborate in business with other people? And most people don't think of it necessarily that way, but if you're a solopreneur or small business, you're probably doing some collaborations, and I'm interested in just hearing what other folks do in this regard, and anything that's any different from what I was saying, because I'm talking about what works for me and sharing that, but other people may have some innovative ways of looking at this as well. So kind of getting the discussion going on how other people do this.
Hold on, Thomas. This is just for the folks that's on here with us on Zoom. Everybody else that's watching via the live stream, they should have been here with us on Zoom. So let me throw this up real quick and we can
Yeah.
get to that. So if you like what Thomas is saying and you want to join in on the conversation, you got to be here with us on Zoom. And Thomas has another event coming up on the 11th. That's Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. And me, Thomas, and DJ Shriek will also be talking about a small business collaboration. So, with that said, Thomas, would you please share with us where is your favorite social media hangout spot so people can connect with you?
I'm generally on LinkedIn. I'm other places too. I mean, my main my main place is my YouTube channel, which is the Groundwater Guy channel on YouTube, where I talk about, groundwater, and that's my niche per se as a consultant. But I am going to start up a channel also on small rural business, because that's really where my heart is, because that's where I am. I live on a 10-acre farm in rural Middle Tennessee, and with chickens and goats and rabbits and bees and you name it, and but my heart is really out to farmers and small town businesses. So we're really working on trying to help those people too. So I kind of, I'm a little bipolar here in that I have my main consulting business, but I can take all the experiences derived from these gray hairs, and I can share it with some of these small town businesses, and hopefully we can help them build these collaborations that way too. So I'm on YouTube. Look for another YouTube channel, and I'll let you know about that. But I'm also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is usually the easiest way to get a hold of me, and that's the main place I hang out. I find LinkedIn is probably, for my type of business, the best way to go. I haven't had much luck on Facebook or some of these other places, and I'm not on TikTok. So and that's the other thing I'd say is choose your social media wisely, because it's easy to get caught up and waste a lot of time on things like Facebook and stuff, and that aren't really gaining you anything. So that's my main places. So
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Thomas. This is Erica Bates. You have been with the Virtual Summiters Peer Group, and hopefully we'll see you Tuesday on the 11th of March, 6 p.m. panel discussion. Bye for now.